Our story began in around 2005. Nanette and I met through family and friends in church. Both of our families were really close together, and we spent a lot of time together. We slowly began to build a relationship out of that, and we had kind of the same things in mind as far as the future, and we made a decision at an early age to commit to each other and to look towards the future and to see how far we can go with God, obviously, in our lives, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
I knew what I wanted at a very young age, so when I met Sammy, I kind of figured, well, I knew this is it. And so we committed to each other, and after 4 years, we got married, and then we started our journey in Europe.
The second phase was interesting. It was definitely challenging, but it was also fun. We learned a lot about ourselves in that first year after being married. We moved to Greece. I got a job offer in Greece, and we spent the season there. And for Nanette, it was a little bit different because it was her first year away from home, away from her family and her friends. I've already been in the basketball world for quite some time before that, so even though it was a little bit of a culture shock for me, my first year, complete year living outside of America, I still was kind of in the basketball world and traveling from a young age, so it was easier for me to adapt. But Nanette definitely struggled, and it was a challenging year for her, and it helped her in our marriage, it helped her individually, and we're definitely in a better place right now because of the strength she had during those times.
I decided not to go to school, so I was just at home, you know, cooking and cleaning, so it was fun because I think that stuff is fun, especially being a newlywed. So we definitely had fun being newlyweds, but I think after a few months we kind of struggled being alone in another country, as far as, like, you know, we don't know anyone, we don't know the language. We kind of had to get settled. I didn't drive, so I had to walk to the center all the time by myself, so that was interesting. I have a lot of funny stories about bus drivers yelling at me. But so that, after, when you look back, it's funny, but back then I used to cry a lot. I cried a lot. I think I've cried maybe the most in my life probably that year, because it was just hard. You know, when you get married, especially Christian marriages, you kind of go in not knowing anything about the person, because obviously you don't live together, or at least we didn't live together. So stuff like that was challenging. Being away from my family, I think, was the hardest, so I cried about that a lot. I think Sammy personally dealt a lot that year with his team, and, you know, that affected me also. He wasn't very happy there. He wasn't getting paid there, so that financial strain kind of...
Yeah, and it's interesting that she mentions that, because that was a year when, you know, for me, I was living the dream. It was everything I imagined growing up as a child, playing basketball professionally, getting paid to play. So when you look at the big picture of what we were doing, it's beautiful, it's perfect. I'm living abroad, I'm living a life outside of things that I'm used to, and it was exciting for us. But there was a lot of challenges that were kind of under the rug that, you know, we want to share with you guys, that you guys probably wouldn't think existed or was there, and we just want to let you guys know that, yes, even in all of that, in all of the success and everything that we had done up until that point, you know, she cried at night, a lot of nights, you know, missing home and missing her family. I was in a great situation as far as basketball, but from a professional level, there's different aspects outside of what you guys just see on the courts. There's things that I focus on as a professional that kind of influences or has an impact on what the experience is like for me when I'm living abroad. So that year was not only challenging for us because it was our first year married, living abroad, but it was a challenging year for me personally in my job and my profession. Like she said, I was a few months behind in salary. And you know, it's hard to wake up every morning and to go and give your best and to try to stay positive and to maximize each day when there's so much adversity. You know, God has been faithful, and that year in particular is one of the years that I could see how God always protected us, always kept us in His plans, and He never abandoned us. And it was a hard year for us. It was a hard year for Nanette, but somehow we maintained and we persevered, and God showed His faithfulness. And the very next year we got a better job offer and a better situation. And after that first year, after that challenge, we began to really fall in love with Europe, and we went to France the next year. And I'd say, or I'd like to say that we'd say that ever since those years in France, our career in Europe has totally blossomed. We fell in love with the experience, we fell in love with all the challenges. And although there was still many challenges that came after that, I think that year in Greece, that first year we spent together, and everything that we went through, me as a player and her as a wife and me as a husband, it helped make us stronger and it helped make us better. And like I said before, I'm grateful and happy that I had a partner who was, you know, strong and on the same page.
I think as women, sometimes we get lost in our husband's jobs or our husband's, you know, we can't figure out who we are as far as I'm a wife, I'm a woman at the end of the day. I am a child of God, I'm a mother now. It's a lot to shuffle. So sometimes, especially me, I felt lost in kind of every phase of my life, especially after kids. But I think one thing I've learned is that in order, you know, this is my family, this is my home. So I've now learned to see it as like my ministry. I'm honoring God, I'm honoring Him doing this. So I should try my best, you know, to do the best that I can as far as what I have, you know. I'm away and that's it, that's my life. So I kind of either you sulk or you just keep going. So I've learned to just, I'm a big believer in feeling your feelings. You know, if you're sad, just be sad. And if you're, you know, obviously I'm happy all the time, but sometimes, you know, life is not rainbows all the time. So I just think as women, you just gotta keep going. You know, this is where God placed us, and this is our life. So we either make it the best that it can be, or you can be miserable. I choose to be happy. I choose, you know, to do the things that I have to do and do them well. And I'm honoring God, I'm honoring Him by doing that. It's obviously been a struggle, you know, in the beginning, especially trying to find that role, but after 10 years, I think I found it after 10 years.
We found our groove.
Yeah, so you try your best, you know. As women, we wear a lot of hats, and it's not easy, but you know, this is who we are. This is how God made us. He made us to do different things, to have different roles, and you just gotta do it. One thing I've learned from my mother is you know, if God hands me something, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to figure out, or just, you know, be sad and I'm like, I can't do it. No, you have to do it. That's it. You're gonna figure it out eventually. One thing that we've seen God's faithfulness for sure is with our kids. I think, you know, you kind of put your kids out there and it's scary, especially in Europe, especially when they go to school, but they thrive so much. And I think that those confirmation for us that that's where God had for us, you know, that's where He wanted us to be, because they did so well and they keep doing well. And, you know, we as parents, you know, you worry so much, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I being selfish? Is this the right thing for us as a family? But I think them doing well, them thriving, they love it, you know, they're resilient, they're little troopers, and I think that's one confirmation for us that we are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and it was that, I mean, for me personally, it was huge, because I've always, when we first had Sienna, I've always planned on retiring once she started school, because I wanted her to be home. I didn't know how well she would adapt to, you know, foreign education. But again, God always shows up and He always shows His hand. And you know, she was the best student in her class this year in the first grade. She was the first to learn how to read Turkish. She was she's pretty much the #1 student in her class as a foreigner, and it's a Turkish school. So, you know, every time we try to put limits on God, He's always shown up and just kind of exceed our expectations. So, you know, that's just a sign for us to continue to trust in Him and to continue to be faithful to Him and to each other. And, you know, we can't predict what's going to happen. Only God can do that. So we're just going to enjoy it as much as we can and try to thrive as much as we can and enjoy the process, because we know that, you know, like He's done up until now, God is always going to be there, and He's always going to have our back and pretty much provide a way for us to find peace and to find love in our marriage. To see how we were as a married couple in Greece, yeah, it was fun. We did as much as we can do. We enjoyed each other, but just to see how much the environment and how much small details can have an impact on a marriage was huge for us. Because that next year, when we got to France, we literally fell in love with Europe, and we fell in love with the experience and the adventures. And it's crazy to see how drastic things can change from one moment to the other, pretty much. And you know, it was a total 180 from what we had lived the last season, and it was an exciting time for us. So exciting that I think that was the year we spoke, if I'm not mistaken, about having a baby. Because, you know, that first year in Greece, we would have never spoke about having a baby. With all the challenges and everything that we were facing, we just wanted to focus on getting through the season, jumping over any hurdles that came our way, and facing with the adversity that took up all of our energy, all of our time, all of our conversations. So I think that season in France, that first season in France, was so good to us that we actually were able to kind of
plan for the future.
Plan for the future, yeah, plan for the future, and slowly begin to prepare, like some of the dreams that we have and some of the things that we would like to share in our journey together. So yeah, it goes to show that perseverance and the favor of God. God really honored me. I feel He honored me with my pretty much my ability to stay strong and not waver, and He had my back. That year in France, I played phenomenal. We won the championship that season. It was an amazing season for us. Like, we were happy as a couple. We had a lot of new friends.
After our 2 years in France, Sammy got maybe the best job offer he's ever received. So we were excited that next year to go to Moscow. We had just had a baby, so it was a lot more challenging this time because we had a baby on board. But we still were excited. It was a new season. It was a whole other transition.
We hope this encourages you guys. We love you. Stay positive, stay strong, trust on God, lean in on your spouse, and together you guys can accomplish the impossible. So all blessings to you guys.